Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Tris and today we're going to be making a recipe video. And as you know, if you follow my channel, we like our recipes, books, and crafts very, very old here. And well, can't really get much older than this because today we're going to be making a recipe from ancient Mesopotamia. I was greatly aided in this by this book, The Oldest Cuisine in the World, Cooking in Mesopotamia, was originally translated by Jean Bottéro and then further translated from French by Teresa Lavender Fagan. This book isn't a traditional recipe book in the sense that you're going to open it up and they're going to give you directions for how to cook and turn oven temperatures and things like that. But it does have a lot of information about what kind of things people in ancient Mesopotamia ate. Warning, the things they ate, our palates have changed a little bit. But in the case of this particular recipe, I don't think they've changed that much. And I'll tell you why. Today we're going to be making something called Mersu. And this is an interesting recipe because in the book, this is what I have to go with. Translated from a source in Mari. Received 120 liters of dates and 10 liters of pistachios for making Mersu, meal of the king, the 14th of the month of Kisu. I don't think there's anyone still alive who speaks this language who I've offended, but if I have, I'm really sorry. Of the year that followed, the seizing of Aslaka by King Zimri-Lim. And that's our recipe. A little problematic because, well, I'm not making 10 liters worth of Mersu. But what I discovered when I went online to see if anyone else had tried to crack the code is that Mersu is a recipe that is being eaten today. And probably to many of you that was obvious, and maybe you grew up eating Mersu and kind of jealous because it looks delicious. But today we're going to be making Mersu with a vintage twist because we're going to be using the recipe laid out in this book, which means we have dates, raisins, figs, and pistachios. Why do we have figs and raisins? Well, later on in the book, we find out large pots were used for mixing, and that to enhance the flavor and richness of the dish, various complementary elements, dates, pistachios, see above, dried figs, raisins, apples, or condiments such as magilla, cumin, and coriander, and even something that to our palates seems somewhat unlikely, garlic, were incorporated into the duly blended flour mixture. Okay, folks, I'm not subjecting us to cumin and garlic in our date balls because date balls are supposed to be sweet, at least in my mind. So we're going to bring in these complementary ingredients and we're going to mix them together and we're going to create our paste and our pistachio flour. Now, this is going to be a time-consuming process because I'm going to try to do this the old-fashioned way and not use a food processor. So, luckily for you and the magic of editing, you're going to see this take about seconds. For me, this could take a while. So I'll check back and let you know how long it took me to ground all of this stuff up into a gooey paste. And we're back, and I'm going to be honest, it took about 15-20 minutes, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, although I will tell you, dates are very stubborn. So for this particular recipe, I was using not fresh dates, so preserved dates, because that would have probably been most likely, unless they went out to the orchard and picked them that day, that's probably they would have dried their dates. It's my dog. Every time you make one of these videos, they're just very excited to be on screen, I guess. So we're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive with the dates when they're not fresh because the fibers are dried out and there's less moisture to help them rip apart. So that took a good chunk of it. One of the things that I saw in the book is that people, could add some of the flour to the dates. And I wasn't quite sure what they meant by flour. So what I did was I mixed in some of the ground pistachio. And that actually looks really, really good. So here's our ball of date mush. And we're going to start breaking this off into tinier little bite-sized balls. I'm going to bring them up. And we're going to take this and roll it around in the pistachios to make a nice little pistachio crust. And we're going to put them on our pan. So one of the things that I also read in the book is that these would have been baked into cakes. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not quite sure how to go about that. So what we are going to do is we're going to put them in the oven for just a short while, just to crisp them up, I guess, and see what happens. A nice little learning curve for all of us. As you can see, the pistachio flour, which is just really ground pistachios, is sticking to the dates in this beautiful crust, which it looks so delicious. I'm very excited to have this. I love pistachios and I love dates, so that is the number one reason why I wanted to make this recipe. And the other wonderful thing about this particular recipe is that if you are not as concerned with pounding things out with a tiny mallet, like I was, you can pop this in a food processor and mix this up really, 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 really quickly. And they are full of all sorts of vitamins and goodies and would be a nice little sweet treat without having to like make, buy store-bought processed Nutra whatever granola bar type things. I'm thinking these are not quite even in size. I'm trying to make them about 1 or 2 bites, but some of them are getting a little hefty. So one of the interesting things about Mesopotamia, because I know we're focusing on that region this month, is the variety of different sort of regions in Mesopotamia, different ethnic groups and kingdoms that lived in Mesopotamia, and they were just now, even, just like starting to discover new things about these places as we're finding new pieces of writing and new understandings of the world over there. So it's very important, I think, to remember with history that what is the oldest thing that we have, what is the most factual, agreed upon evidence can be changed in an instant. I remember way back, my freshman year in college, getting an assignment from my teacher about bias and how not even the bias of individuals, but the bias of what sources and information we have can really change how we view an event. A single piece of pottery, a single, piece of cloth, a new discovery of, an arrowhead somewhere where we don't expect it to be, can show us that cultures had communication with each other and we never knew. And the funny thing is that the older the culture is, the more likely we are to have these kind of moments where something has been hidden from us for centuries under layers and layers and layers and layers of younger history. And once we find that new history, once we learn about it, it's very surprising to us, but we can also often see, just in the case of this particular recipe, how it's really impacted the region around it. Because people, as I said, they're still making this kind of dessert. The shape that I am using here, I found in several modern recipes, which I'll link a few sources down below if you want to see a modern take on this and how it's done with a modern flair. Some of them use sugar and honey, some of them do other things, but I think it's very interesting that the descendants of these people of this region, thousands of years later, are still eating food that resembles what their ancestors did so long ago. And so when we find these new recipes, when we find these new bits of information, it's not really surprising for the people of those regions. They've been eating that way for years. They've been doing these things for years. And a lot of that goes to show that at the end of the day, history is about people and families and the traditions and ideas that we pass down to those that we love, and how those traditions change over time, but still maintain that sort of flair for what works for where we live. All right, so I'm going to pop these in the oven, and then we'll be back and with them nice and plated, and I'll do a little taste test and let you know how they work. All right, bye. And we're done. Took about 5-10 minutes in the oven just to let them sit for a minute. They didn't really cook all the way through, but they're nice and warm. Maybe if you cook them a little longer, they would crisp up, but I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to have like a nice little gooey cake. This is a fun angle to be staring at you all from. So, hi. So I'm going to give it a try and let you know what I think. This is very good. It's very good. I really like these. I feel like you could cook these and not even cook them. You could keep them nice and chilled, but actually cooking them made them really gooey in a really fun way. I'm not mad about it. So, recommend these. You could take a couple, pop them in your lunchbox for work, pop them in your kid's lunchbox for work. Eat them for dessert. They're very tasty. They're very sweet. They're very sweet. They taste like they taste like a ball of dates and raisins and all those like sweet, tangy, sweet like gooey fruits wrapped in a little bit of a crunch from the pistachios. So this is delicious, and I am definitely going to be making this again. So that's it for today, folks. If you liked it, why don't you hit subscribe or the bell to be notified of any future videos. And I will have some more to say about Mesopotamia later this month. Until next month, we will be going back to the Greek and Roman world to have a special sort of themed month of a different variety. So, yeah, if you tried the recipe and you liked it, why don't you let us know in the comments what worked for you? What did you like? What did you not like? Did you try any variations? Did you grow up eating this? Which I'm really jealous because this was really good. Yeah, how did you do this? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let us know. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye.